Former President Barack Obama is urging Democrats to get out and vote, of course, coming up on the midterm elections in November.
Yeah, yesterday he campaigned for 7 California Democrats running in House districts currently held by Republicans. Now, this is the second of 4 campaign events he's going to hold before the election.
Meanwhile, President Trump went to Twitter to set a positive spin to his chances of re-election in 2020 and predicting Republican wins in Senate races this year. CNN's Sarah Westwood joins us now from Washington. So good morning to you first. How is the White House now reacting and responding to the former president on the campaign trail?
Well, good morning, Victor. And President Trump, we know he doesn't like sharing the spotlight, and he's certainly no fan of former President Obama. He responded indirectly on Twitter yesterday, touting his electoral college victory in 2016 and claiming that Democrats are going, quote, crazy trying to beat him. He's not on the ballot in 2018, but he certainly is the focus of Democrats and Republicans running for congressional offices. Now, Trump also tweeted about the high hopes Republicans have for the Senate, where the GOP hopes to keep and even expand its majority. But Trump made no mention of the battle for the House, where Republicans are most vulnerable. And that's where former President Obama seems to be focusing his attention. In California, he made the argument that Democratic voters are the ones who should get out and flip the House. And he warned about the consequences of staying home on Election Day. Take a listen.
Where there's a vacuum in our democracy, when we are not participating, we're not paying attention, when we're not stepping up, other voices fill the void. But the good news is, in 2 months, we have a chance to restore some sanity in our politics. We have the chance to flip the House of Representatives and make sure there are real checks and balances in Washington.
Now, there's been a mixed reaction to former President Obama's return to the campaign trail. Democrats are hoping that their popular former president can help motivate Democratic voters in districts that Hillary Clinton won, but that are held by Republicans. And the GOP, Republicans, they're hoping that the left's reliance on a former leader could help them highlight the lack of new voices and ideas that Democrats have heading into the midterms and perhaps more importantly, heading into 2020. Now, Trump tends to perform better when he does have a foil. Sometimes that's the media, sometimes that's still been Hillary Clinton. And if Obama stays out on the campaign trail, it could become him. Victor and Christy.
All righty, Sarah Westwood, thank you so much.
All right, if we're talking the 2018 ballot and the 2020 ballot, there really is only one man to talk to. That's Congressman John Delaney. He is, of course, up for re-election this November, and he declared his candidacy for the party's 2020 presidential nomination for Democrats. Congressman Delaney, welcome back.
Nice to be here, Victor. Thanks for having me.
So let's first start with President Obama, who's back out on the campaign trail. And I want to ask you a version of what I asked our analysts in the last hour. Pick one constituency, one group that if you think President Obama could deliver them, that he should hyper-focus on. Would it be young people? Would it be minorities? Would it be the Democrats who supported him in 2012 but supported President Trump in 2016? Pick one and why.
Well, I know this isn't the question you asked me, but my answer would be all of the above, obviously.
But scattershot doesn't work, though. You've got to focus.
So President Obama is particularly popular, I believe, with young people in this country right now. You know, I think they think about his kind of positive vision for the country and the kind of set of values he embodies. And so I think President Obama is very effective talking to young people about how we have to take responsibility for our future, really meaning their future. So, you know, I like President Obama talking to young people because I think it's a very, very sharp contrast with the current president, who's working hard to turn the clock backwards. And President Obama has always been a very forward-looking leader, thinking about the future, thinking about how the world is changing, and working hard to build a more just, inclusive, and more prosperous future for all Americans. And I think that's a message that really should resonate with young voters right now.
All right, so let's talk about a few other topics. I got a few things to hit here, and let's start with the Kavanaugh hearings this weekend. Who could be one of your opponents for the 2020 nomination for Democrats, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. I wanted you to watch this exchange, and then I've got the question on the other side.
I'm going to release the email about racial profiling, and I understand that the penalty comes with potential ousting from the Senate.
Running for president is no excuse for violating the rules of the Senate or of the confidentiality the documents that we are privy to.
Now, Republicans say the documents that he released were cleared the hours before in the middle of the night. Was he grandstanding there? That's been the criticism from some.
You know, the problem with this hearing, it was rushed and there was not full transparency. And I think that in general turned this hearing into a bit of a circus, right? This hearing should not have happened this past week. There should have been more transparency around the documentation that was requested by the Senate Democrats, including Senator Booker. They should have had more time to review the documents that were dumped on them the day before the hearing. So that really spoiled an opportunity to have the kind of constructive hearing we should be having on something as important as a Supreme Court nominee.
Did he make it worse?
I don't know if he made it worse. I mean, I think who made it worse was the fact that Senator McConnell rushed this hearing and Senator Grassley didn't allow there to be the kind of transparency that we should have on an incredibly consequential discussion, which is the next potential member of the Supreme Court. So I don't think any of them made it worse. I think they were responding to a very difficult situation that they were presented with, quite frankly.
All right, let's talk about you now. You launched your 2020 bid, what was that, July of last year?
Yes.
Okay, so here's one of the ads that you have run in Iowa at the beginning of 2018. Let's watch.
He's a firm believer in, well,
Bipartisanship.
Bipartisanship. Bipartisanship.
it might be a dirty word in Washington, but it seems to be awfully refreshing right here in Iowa.
I'm John Delaney, and I approve this message.
Approving the message of bipartisanship in an era where candidates, outsiders, newcomers to politics are winning with a more aggressive, more confrontational message, especially going after the president, if not the entire GOP. Is that in step, this message of bipartisanship, with where the Democratic Party is right now?
I think it is, because I think what the Democratic Party should stand for is actually getting real things done for the American people. We've watched for decades as the world has changed, and we haven't done the basic things we should have done to update the basic institutions in our society for our citizens, whether it be healthcare, education. And I think the next president really needs to take this on, needs to be the leader that can create this notion of one America, reminding us that we have so much in common, this notion of common purpose and unity that has always been the cornerstone of the American experience, the kind of things President Obama spoke this week, the kind of things that John McCain was remembered for. I refuse to believe that he's the last of his breed. This is the type of leadership I believe we need in 2020, someone who can bring our country together, not just so that we feel better about ourselves and our democracy, but also so that we can start getting real things done to help the American people, because that's what we have to do. And that's the problem we have right now in our country. We have a president who is dividing us, and he's not doing the kind of things that the American people broadly agree with each other on. We need a different type of leadership. We need someone to unify us, and we need someone to begin a conversation in this country about the long list of things we agree with each other on, and that we have to get done so that the future is brighter for the next generation of Americans.
Let me ask you now about party demographics in the context of this week. Ayanna Pressley beating 10-term Congressman Mike Capuano in Massachusetts, despite admitting that she would likely cast the same votes that he would. Listen to one of her supporters, and I've got one more, and then I've got the question.
Sure.
I'm leaning towards Pressley.
Why?
I really like her story, and Capuano's great, but I don't know. It's just I think I resonate with her story.
And then another told WBUR, let's put it up, Capuano and Pressley are both progressives, but I think Ayanna understands our neighborhood better. She's a female, she's younger, she will relate better to those things that definitely affect us. Now, with high-profile outsiders, minorities, women winning, let me flip the question that then Senator Obama was asked in 2008. Is the Democratic Party ready to nominate a white man for president?
Yes, but I think what the Democratic Party is really focused on is actually what was in the question that you asked there, which is, I think people are tired of talking points. I think people are tired of kind of elected officials saying all the right things, but none of it getting done. I think what the American people are really looking for, particularly young people, I mean, young people grew up in an era where technology enabled them to go around things they don't like. And they're looking at what's happening in politics right now, where they see these political parties that have failed the country, And they actually just want us to get real things done, whether it's in climate change, whether it's in gun safety, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in education. They want progress, right? They don't want talking points. They don't want speeches. They want progress. And I think that's where the Democratic Party, the next generation of Democratic Party leaders are going. An inclusive party, a kind of a one America party, a party that recognizes everyone, no matter what your race, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, but a party that's actually committed to getting real things done for the American people. And again, leading the conversation and all these things we agree with each other on. Things like climate change, universal health care, universal background checks. Huge numbers of the American people agree with these things. And the Democratic Party needs to become the party that's actually going to get these things done.
Well, again,
real solutions.
What we saw in the race there with Preston Capuano was that they said they would vote the same way.
Right.
But they chose Presley because they
listen,
found her more relatable there.
All parties are all politics are local, as we know, right? And I think she reflects that district very, very well. And she seems terrific. I haven't had the privilege of meeting her, but she also ran on a platform of it's not just kind of what we say, it's whether we can get it done.
Congressman John Delaney, always good to have you.
Thank you, Victor.
All right.